The Diary of a Young Girl, 2.
The thought of Father off visiting someone in the Jewish hospital and completely unaware of what was happening, the long wait for Mother, the heat, the suspense, all this reduced us to silence. Suddenly the doorbell rang again. "That's hello," I said. "Don't open the door," exclaimed Margot to stop me. But it wasn't necessary, since we heard Mother and Mr. Van Daan downstairs talking to Hello. And then the two of them came inside and shut the door behind them. Every time the bell rang, either Margot or I had to tiptoe downstairs to see if it was Father, and we didn't let anyone else in. Margot and I were sent from the room, as Mr. Van Daan wanted to talk to Mother alone. When she and I were sitting in our bedroom, Margot told me that the call-up was not for Father, but for her. At this second shock, I began to cry. Margot is 16. Apparently they want to send girls her age away on their own. But thank goodness she won't be going. Mother had said so herself, which must be what Father had meant when he talked to me about our going into hiding. Hiding? Where would we hide? In the city? In the country? In a house? In a shack? When? Where? How? These were questions I wasn't allowed to ask, but they still kept running through my mind. Margot and I started packing our most important belongings into a school bag. The first thing I stuck in was this diary, and then curlers, handkerchiefs, school books, a comb, and some old letters. Preoccupied by the thought of going into hiding, I stuck the craziest things in the bag, but I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. Father finally came home around 5 o'clock, and we called Mr. Kleinman to ask if he could come by that evening. Mr. Van Daan left and went to get Miep. Miep arrived and promised to return later that night, taking with her a bag full of shoes, dresses, jackets, underwear, and stockings. After that, it was quiet in our apartment. None of us felt like eating. It was still hot, and everything was very strange. We had rented our big upstairs room to a Mr. Goldschmidt, a divorced man in his 30s, who apparently had nothing to do that evening, since, despite all our polite hints, he hung around until 10 o'clock. Miep and Jan Gies came at 11. Miep, who's worked for Father's company since 1933, has become a close friend, and so has her husband, Jan. Once again, shoes, stockings, books, and underwear disappeared into Miep's bag and Jan's deep pockets. At 11:30, they too disappeared. I was exhausted, and even though I knew it'd be my last night in my own bed, I fell asleep right away and didn't wake up until Mother called me at 5:30 the next morning. Fortunately, it wasn't as hot as Sunday. A warm rain fell throughout the day. The four of us were wrapped in so many layers of clothes, it looked as if we were going off to spend the night in a refrigerator. And all that just so we could take more clothes with us. No Jew in our situation would dare leave the house with a suitcase full of clothes. I was wearing 2 undershirts, 3 pairs of underpants, a dress, and over that a skirt, a jacket, a raincoat, 2 pairs of stockings, heavy shoes, a cap, a scarf, and lots more. I was suffocating even before we left the house, but no one bothered to ask me how I felt. Margot stuffed her school bag with schoolbooks, went to get her bicycle, and, with Meep leading the way, rode off into the great unknown. At any rate, that's how I thought of it, since I still didn't know where our hiding place was. At 7:30, we too closed the door behind us. Morche, my cat, was the only living creature I said goodbye to. According to a note we left for Mr. Goldschmidt, she was to be taken to the neighbors who would give her a good home. The stripped beds, the breakfast things on the table, the pound of meat for the cat in the kitchen, all of these created the impression that we'd left in a hurry. But we weren't interested in impressions. We just wanted to get out of there, to get away and reach our destination in safety. Nothing else mattered. More tomorrow. Yours, Anne. Thursday, July 9th, 1942. Dearest Kitty, so there we were, Father, Mother, and I, walking in the pouring rain, each of us with a school bag and a shopping bag filled to the brim with the most varied assortment of items. The people on their way to work at that early hour gave us sympathetic looks. You could tell by their faces that they were sorry they couldn't offer us some kind of transportation. The conspicuous yellow star spoke for itself. Only when we were walking down the street did Father and Mother reveal, little by little, what the plan was. For months, we'd been moving as much of our furniture and apparel out of the apartment as we could. It was agreed that we'd go into hiding on July 16th. Because of Margot's call-up notice, the plan had to be moved up 10 days, which meant we'd have to make do with less orderly rooms. The hiding place was located in Father's office building. That's a little hard for outsiders to understand, so I'll explain. Father didn't have a lot of people working in his office, just Mr. Kugler, Mr. Kleiman, Meep, and a 23-year-old typist named Bep Voskul, all of whom were informed of our coming. Mr. Voskul, Bep's father, works in the warehouse along with 2 assistants, none of whom were told anything. Here's a description of the building. The large warehouse on the ground floor is used as a workroom and storeroom and is divided into several different sections, such as the stockroom and the milling room, where cinnamon, cloves, and a pepper substitute are ground. Next to the warehouse doors is another outside door, a separate entrance to the office. Just inside the office door is a second door, and beyond that, a stairway. At the top of the stairs is another door with a frosted window on which the word office is written in black letters. This is the big front office, very large, very light, and very full. Bep, Meep, and Mr. Kleinman work there during the day.